Hold on a second, I think it's time for a new ranking video.
Who are you?
Today, I'll be ranking every Spider-Man cartoon, and because I don't have a decade to spend watching God knows how many episodes across all the 8 cartoons, I decided to watch one random episode from each one and rate the entire show based on it. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
The original Spider-Man cartoon, which was produced in the late 60s, is one of the most iconic cartoons ever, and even though it's a 56-year-old show, it still have a lot of selling points, like the iconic intro music,
Spider-Man does.
and the fact that it was the origin of many famous memes that was still funny until today. The episode started with an invisible guy releases Electro, Green Goblin, and this guy with wings from the prison. Then he tells them that they couldn't beat Spider-Man individually, but if they teamed up, they might have a chance to beat him. And what do you think they did next? They started attacking Spider-Man individually.
You stupid!
And surprisingly, every one of them came close to beat Spider-Man. After that, we see Spider-Man go back to his lab and created a better quality spider web. Then he goes back, beat the 4 villains, and the episode ended. Yeah, that was literally the entire episode. It was like 10 minutes long or something. But as I said, even though this is a 56-year-old show, I did enjoy the episode. The simplicity of it, the soundtracks that gives every moment its own vibe, the legendary intro, and the vintage quality of voice acting all came together to create a retro cartoon that was low-key good, S tier.
Spider-Man!
To be honest, I only heard bad things about this show. All of my friends who watched it regret every second they spent on it. But I'm not cheap to follow the herd, I have my own opinions. The episode starts with a guy getting chased by a bear, then he gets saved by the locals. We learn that this guy named is Johan, and he escaped his country, Latveria,
They are Latvian.
because Dr. Doom is ruling it apparently, and no one wants Dr. Doom to rule their country. Johan then goes to New York to meet some friends, and those friends are underground Latvian resistance fighters, and he wants to share his story with the world. So he goes to the Daily Bugle, and Mr. Jameson refuses to believe him, saying that Dr. Doom is good people and stuff.
Dr. Doom is one of the greatest men who ever lived!
On the other hand, Peter Parker believes in Johan's story. He take him to a safe place and he asked him to tell the whole story and recorded it. Then it turns out that the group of Latvian resistance fighters actually nothing but spies working for Dr. Doom. They kidnapped Peter's assistant and steal the recording of Johan's story. Spider-Man saves Barry, and then he gets a call from Johan telling him that the revolution is already started in his country and he has to go back to help his people. Spider-Man decided to go with him. The spies make them board the plane, and it turns out that the plane is being controlled remotely by Dr. Doom. Spider-Man managed to get out of the plane and created a parachute using his spider web and safely lands to Latveria with Johan. Somehow, Spider-Man makes it to Dr. Doom's castle and blows it up, but he breaks his arm in the process. Dr. Doom somehow survives and makes the people of Latveria rebuild the castle again.
Begin rebuilding Castle Doom.
The end. Just to put you in the context, because the ending of the episode is kinda weird, this is a part 3, I think, of 4 episodes arc, so the story doesn't technically end here. But talking about this episode by itself, it wasn't that bad, to be honest. I recently realized how much I love this old cartoon style, and this show does it pretty well. I also love the intro music. As of the plot, I'm not 100% sure about it, because I found myself thrown in the middle of the story, but overall it's such a good show. A tier. I'm so excited to watch this one because it's actually the first Spider-Man cartoon I remember watching as a kid. The episode started with Spider-Man talking to Madam Web, telling her that his life has become perfect since he started dating MJ and that he doesn't need her help anymore. Then we move to another scene when we see the Green Goblin creating a teleporting gadget. After that, he goes to rob a bank truck where Spider-Man shows up to stop him. The Green Goblin starts to use his teleporting gadget, which confuses Spider-Man's spider sense. After a while, Spider-Man thinks that the Goblin has escaped, and he also remembered that he has a date with MJ, so he took off his suit, revealing his face without realizing that the Goblin is watching him from above. Spider-Man goes to meet MJ at a coffee shop, where she tells him that their old friend Harry is throwing a party and has invited them. So they go to the party, and Normal, who is the Green Goblin and also Harry's father, starts to pressuring Peter, and he gets so close to expose Peter as Spider-Man, and instead of just leaving or something like that, Peter throws some bombs into the fireplace, causing a huge explosion and putting the lives of everyone at the party in danger, just to avoid being exposed. Then the Green Goblin appears and starts fighting with Peter, and the fight ends with the Goblin getting sucked into the void by his teleporting gadget. And yeah, I also forget to mention that MJ gets sucked into the teleporting gadget too. The end. Well, this episode is such a mediocre. It has its ups, but it also has its downs. B tier. Until I started working on this video, I'd never heard about Spider-Man Unlimited, and after watching it, I don't think anyone else has either. So if somehow this show was part of your childhood, let me know in the comments. The episode starts with this astronaut announcing that they have discovered another Earth, and that he's about to visit it. Then we see Spider-Man gets an alert from his spider sense, which makes him suits up and investigate. There we see Venom and Crange trying to sneak into the spaceship. Spider-Man follows them and they get into a fight. Venom and Crange manage to make it onto the spaceship. Then something happens that I honestly didn't understand. The spaceship is already in the space, pretty much nothing goes wrong, but people see Spider-Man falling from the sky and they assume that he did something to the spaceship. Anyway, after that everyone starts to hating on Spider-Man and he gets kinda depressed, so MJ literally tells him to go to the other Earth and save the astronaut to clear his name. Spider-Man of course agrees, sneaks into the space station or whatever it calls, steals the spaceship and head to counter Earth. When he arrives, he gets stopped by these robotic soldiers, but he managed to beat them. Then he gets chased by these animal knights, and here we get to see this beautiful cyber world where animals are driving flying cars while humans are overpopulated losers living underground. Creativity. After a long chase, the knights managed to capture Spider-Man, and they were about to perform a surgery on him, and the episode ends. To be honest, this show is kinda fire. I really like this cyberpunk style world, the soundtrack, the intro music, the character design. I also love Spidey's new suit, except for the spiderweb cape. All of those things made me forget about the small things that I didn't like about it. A tier. Spider-Man the New Animated Series was produced when I was around 1 year old, and I think I had a big chance to watch it as a kid, but I didn't. Matter of fact, I had never even heard about this show before. The episode starts with a bank truck robbery, and like usual, Spider-Man shows up and stops it. Then we see the Flash visiting a doctor, and the doctor makes him inject something into his body, makes him smarter. After that, we see the twins that Spider-Man stopped in the beginning of the episode going to the same doctor. They inject more of the smart liquid into themselves because they were so dumb that they couldn't commit any robbery without it. After that, they go to rob another bank, only to find Spider-Man waiting for them. Unlike the first time, Spider-Man couldn't stop it, but he noticed that they have the same mark that Flash has. Next, we see Flash starting to get sick. Then he finds Spider-Man in front of him. Spider-Man asks him what he did, and Flash tells him everything. Flash goes back to the crazy doctor because he went more of his smart juice. Then he asks the doctor about the symptoms. The doctor explains that in order for Flash metabolism to make his brain work better, his body has to do a massive amount of work. It's like trying to run Red Dead Redemption 2 on a potato PC. However, the doctor tells Flash if he can bring him someone who are naturally smart, the doctor could create an antidote that helps his body adapt to his new intelligence more easily. Meanwhile, the twins are listening to the conversation and tell the doctor to find someone smart as soon as possible. But Flash says that he doesn't have to because he already knows someone. He calls Parker and asked him for help. Obviously, Spider-Man is the one who ends up coming and start fighting with the twins. The Doctor managed to escape, taking Flash as a hostage on the subway. Thankfully, Spider-Man finds the subway, defeats the Doctor, and creates the antidote for Flash, and everything ends well. This might be one of the worst things I've ever watched in my entire life. The voice actors sounded like they were poorly paid or something. There were no emotion or soul in their voices. The 3D animation was terrible. They even forgot to color some of the NPCs in some scenes, and some buildings didn't even have windows. F tier. As much as I wasn't familiar with the previous two shows, The Spectacular Spider-Man is one of the major reasons why I'm making this video, because I pretty much watched the entire thing, and if I remember correctly, it was one of my favorite cartoons. The episode starts with Spider-Man beating and capturing robberies, then we see him visiting Aunt Mary, who is in the hospital after having a heart attack. He starts blaming himself, saying that he was supposed to be next to her the entire time, but he wasn't. The next morning, we sees MJ telling Peter that Eddie asked her out just to embarrass him and show him that he's not a good friend anymore. Peter tells her to forget about it, then he calls Eddie to ask him about it. However, we sees that Venom has already taken over Eddie's body. Eddie asks Peter to meet up, but Peter tells him that he has to take care of his aunt. After that, Venom attacks Spider-Man in his own house and tells him that he is not just going to end him, but also everyone he loves. Spider-Man immediately thinks about the first person Venom would use against him, of course Aunt Mary, who's still in the hospital, and sure enough he finds Venom there. They get into an aggressive fight and Venom decided to go after someone else Peter loves. Spider-Man starts thinking about who it could be, so he goes to a festival. There he finds that MJ is safe, but Gwen isn't, and Venom has hanged her in a huge balloon. Spider-Man saves Gwen and fights Venom again until my boy Spider-Man decided to make a sacrifice and gives his body to Venom once again. Venom leaves Eddie and goes back to Peter, only to find out that Peter tricks him, and somehow Peter was mentally strong enough to prevent Venom from taking over his body. Venom melts away and Spider-Man takes him, and he makes sure that this black thing will never return. The end. Okay, hold on a second. Let me put this in S tier and then we will talk.
Nice.
Let's forget a second that this show is part of my childhood. The animation is incredibly smooth and well done. The voice acting is great. And unlike the previous Spider-Man shows, this one has less unnecessary talking and more action. The intro music is a banger and everything about it is simply perfect. And yeah, the nostalgia gives some bonus points too. Lucky me, I found this one for free on YouTube because I spent all of my life savings by subscriptions to do this video. In this episode, Spider-Man meets up with Hawkeye to capture a robot. However, Hawkeye was acting all nonchalant towards Spider-Man because he is one of the Avengers, while Spider-Man was just a newcomer to the team. It was basically Batman-Cyborg type of relationship. In the middle of the action with this robot, their hands get stuck together and they started to fighting this dude while being connected. It was like when you and your friend playing chain together. The robot eventually disappeared, and since they lose both of their vehicles, they stopped a taxi to take them to the Avengers headquarters because they assume the robot went there. The taxi started cutting between the cars in New York like he was licensed. Anyway, the two heroes make it to the headquarters where they stop the robot. Hawkeye starts getting along with Spidey and the episode ends. Well, I love this episode. The jokes Spider-Man was making through the episode were actually good, most of them at least. The animation and the action were literally good. Hawkeye was so badass, and what I love the most about it, like the whole episode was basically action. They only took a couple minutes at the beginning to introduce Spider-Man and Hawkeye, then they immediately jumped into the fight. Yeah, I'll give it an A tier. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is a different show. We have Spider-Man wearing a white suit at least. The episode starts with a woman meeting Dr. Octopus and she buys a helmet from him. Then she goes to release her friends from the prison and Spider-Man stops her. Basically for the entire of the episode, they were just fighting. On the other side of New York City, we have this dude who are extremely skilled at football, but he comes from a family that likes causing trouble. I would like to say they go to a place where they started fighting with another gang, and this fight ends with the dude getting stabbed in the shoulder while protecting his father. W kid though. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know why, but I felt like I enjoy watching the gang fights more than Spider-Man's fights, and because of that I'll just put it in B tier. I have nothing more to say about this show, and yeah, anyway, that's pretty much everything for this video, and peace.